Hey, all you beautiful, lovely, delicious kids out there. Welcome back to the Sex, Drugs, and Jesus podcast. My name is DeVannonSeraphino. I am your host, and I am here to continue my divination series teaching on the tarot. Today, we will be covering the major arcana cards 12 through 21, which will be the Hanged Man all the way through the World card. And the first one of these we went over the history of the tarot, talked about life path numbers, did a little refresher on the Zodiac and what mutable signs are. I mean, there's times a mutable, fixed, a cardinal, and what that means. And so for this, I will be going over reading from Llewellyn's, love the name, Llewellyn's Complete Book of Tarot, a little bit of their descriptions. I have my own take on these cards that I'm going to give you, but I always like to have a second opinion. Many of our opinions are quite complementary amongst tarot readers. Anyhow, I will read to you some of the numerology because these cards all have like numbers at the top. You can see like the Roman numerals and everything there. I'll tell you which life path number applies to each card, the zodiac sign, the planet, the season of the year, speaking about whether it's mutable and whatever element it is. When reading tarot, and really through many religious and spiritual practices, numbers matter, elements matter. I was studying mudras earlier, which is something that comes from Eastern philosophy. You know, have you ever seen like a yogi or somebody meditating and they'll do like different the finger positions and hands? Those are called mudras. They matter. They have to do with energy flow. And technically speaking, say like each digit of the hand applies to say like earth, air, water, space, whatever the case might be. And those finger positions are actually used to direct energy or to bring in healing or to focus on different things within the body. The things that are used in tarot, well, the mudras affect the mind, body, spirit, soul, and really everything. All seven of like your spiritual bodies. Mm. But what I'm trying to illustrate is that the same elements that are used in various forms of divination, not just tarot, the elements, the numerology, the planets, angelology, all these different studies that we have a lot of intersectionality. And I'm so thankful to God for giving us so many different ways to access esoteric knowledge. And what is esoteric knowledge? Trying to pull down from the divine shit we don't know. Excuse me, shit we don't know about the past, present, or future. Esoteric knowledge is knowledge revealed through some sort of spiritual means, be it scrying in water, looking at gemstones, aromancy, discerning the future through the skies and lightning and weather patterns. There's all kind of gifts of sight, past sight, current sight, and foresight the Lord has bestowed upon us. And so I'm happy to be going through the tarot with you once we teach you what we can in this short of time about these cards. There's about 15 million things about each card. And then the knowledge is always changing because we change, the world changes, the universe change. God does not change, which is the most interesting thing about that all. Um, no two readers are ever going to read two cards the same. They don't have to. A lot of it is intuition here with the spirit is speaking, which is why it's always important to know who your reader is, where they're getting their knowledge from. Is it from Yahweh, the God of the Hebrews? Is it from Bastet, one of the gods of Egypt? Is it from Kuzenbo, one of the Japanese gods? You know, who are they praying to? Are they getting this information from dead people, ancestors? You need to know these things. I pray only to God, Jesus Christ, and the Holy Ghost. I work with angels and I work with ancestors and really anybody who's died calling on the name of the Lord. If you have enough faith to constitute an ancestor because you have that bloodline of Christ tying you together. That's it. I don't fuck with other deities because I believe Yahweh is more powerful than every other deity. I don't. argue or fight against people who believe in different gods. I just focus on what we have in common. And so that be the tarot, that be the tarot, that be eating fucking watermelon. Great. If that's the sparkling water, I don't go about the business of trying to amplify differences. I just focus on what we have in common. We're never going to agree. But what I'm trying to tell on everything, so what I'm trying to get you to understand is instead of running to every tarot reader you see on YouTube or you hear about, study them and ask them who the fuck do you really pray to? Because a lot of them will say like the universe or this or that, but then certain cards that they use reference different deities from different pantheons. So, you know, just be clear about it. And if that's what you're about, then that's what you're about. Here at the Sex, Drugs, and Jesus podcast, we only pray to God. I believe that the universe and the cosmos, all of that have a place. That's why I have taught you about the Zodiac. And I believe in life path numbers and all of these things, but I don't believe that they are God. I believe that they are beneath God and under his auspices, under his control, under his dominion. I believe in the power of the earth and the energy of the earth. I don't believe that the earth is God. As it says, heaven is God's throne and earth is God's footstool. Is there power in the earth? Absolutely. Do we use the things from the earth to heal and to change and to cleanse? Fuck yeah, we do. But I do not worship the earth. There are many people who do. Again, not throwing shade. I'm just letting you know who the fuck DeVannonSeraphino is and who I stand for and who I do not. Because everybody must be clear on who they stand for and who they don't and why. The people who praise and worship the universe, say that shit loudly. I'm going to talk about Yahweh, the God of the Hebrews, loudly. And that's all there is to it. And I believe everybody should be able to say spiritually who and what they believe in and be clear on it. And we'll never agree on all of that. And I'm fine with that. But I'm just letting you know who I fucks with. The website, sexdrugsandjesus.com. Our YouTube channel is Sex, Drugs, and Jesus Podcast. TikTok, Sex, Drugs, and Jesus Podcast. Thank you all so much for the traction that's really picked up on there. I commend you for your bravery, those of you who have reached out to me asking for help with witchcraft and spells being cast against you, who I've messaged privately. And if there is anybody suffering in that way, any type of magical way or something like that, just email me, devannon@gmail.com or devannon@sdjpodcast.com, or send a message through YouTube or TikTok. I really check those two the most. And I'll see what I can do to try to help you or instruct you, because there's no sense in suffering. If you found this channel and you found this page, or wherever it is you're looking at this, then it's time for you to grow. This is not an entertainment podcast. This is a podcast that challenges you to be the next version of you. I'm not, we're not here to be cute. We're here to keep it motherfucking 100, or motherfucking real, because karma is real. Destiny is real. Our soul and spirits are real. And that afterlife is for fuck sure real. Spirits have the power to dominate and control things in this earth, but we cannot reach out and touch a spirit. It's time for us to get a greater consciousness of how important spiritual things are, and not to leave that on the back burner, like we can do, getting busy with life. But really, once life goes and all we have is spirit, and if you don't have spiritual currency saved up for you when you depart the plane of existence, you don't expect some sort of peachy ass afterlife. Or if you believe in resurrection and don't expect sort of peachy ass, not resurrection, reincarnation. If you believe in reincarnation, don't expect sort of peachy ass reincarnation. I don't believe in it. Reincarnation. It doesn't mean the Lord just hasn't shown me anything about that. So whether it is or isn't, I suggest you live your life like it's your last chance, instead of thinking you just get innumerable chances to come back here and do it again. I've heard people talk about this council of elders. Some people who believe in reincarnation, they call it the council of elders. That you believe that they say that you have to go and present before and like have a review of your life. Over here, I believe it's when we die, we're done, and we're going to stand before the Lord and face judgment, as is talked about in the book of Revelation in the Hebrew Bible. So either way, if you believe in reincarnation or one and done like me, your ass is going to have to explain what the fuck you did in this life, and you're not going to be able to labor any delusions like the things that you did or somehow not connected to everything that you did. So there is no just doing shit because it feels good and you're not hurting anybody else. No, we got to think more deeply about what the fuck we're doing. And that brings us to our first card, which is the Hanged Man. Child, let me see. Most people, actually, let me start. Let me start with reading what Llewellyn has to say, and then we'll just kind of springboard from there. According to Llewellyn, when upright, the hanged man looks like an image reflected in the surface of a body of water, suggesting that what we perceive with our senses is but a reflection of a deeper reality. To understand what is really real, I'm gonna say that again. To understand what is really real, Lord have mercy, we may need to adopt a new point of view. If your life feels like it's on hold or in a state of suspension, it's time to adopt a spiritual perspective and pursue the greater good. We sometimes need to make sacrifices and let go. My God, let go of something we value in order to achieve a greater good. In any case, when the hangman appears in a reading, you are likely to be viewing or doing something out of the ordinary in a way that sets you apart from the more accepted approach of those around you. Give me a drink of water, sparkling water, as it were. I'm so happy, and I can see why this is card number 12, which is basically kind of like the middle-ish card of the 22 in the major arcana. Because at about this time of the journey, you're beginning to have some enlightenment about you. That's why you see this fucking halo around this dude's head. Now, homie is still as fuck. He can't go nowhere because he hanging about one goddamn foot. All right. But but his mind is active. This purposeful isolation, which is what this card is, purposeful, spiritual, intentional isolation. You're not moving when you take time to yourself like that physically, but your spirit and your mind are growing and moving. The flesh wars against the spirit wars against the flesh. You either gonna walk after the flesh or after the spirit. Flesh means sensuality, sent out of balance sensuality. Sensuality is done with the wrong and or not well thought out intentions. Calling it good just because it feels good is very immature and very childish. If it feels good, then just do it. It's very fucking immature, and I need you to outgrow that. It feels good and we're not hurting anybody else. No, baby, you could be hurting yourself. You know, just because some shit feels good don't mean it is good. You better watch that. But like Lou Ellen was saying, this card is talking about getting a new point of view for the greater good. The greater good of who? You. You. Uh, some things I've read talk about this card as being very like humanitarianistic and things like that. And volunteerism seems to have to do with this card. Maybe. Maybe. I'm not quite ready to buy into that yet. Just thought I'd throw it out there. These plants you see have everything to do with the growth that's happening internally. It's not a card of stagnation entirely. You're not going to be very active physically, but like this halo and like these plants here, you're moving because you're slow inside. Because you're slowing down and you're commanding your physical world to be on hold while you sort some shit out inside yourself. Because the way life works, and I've been harping on this, really, really trying to get people to slow the fuck down, to enter into a minimum of 7 days of purposeful spiritual isolation. Cause like I was talking to this one person I know here in New York who just, they got problems. And if they would let me, I could work them up out of those problems. but they, by their own confession, just ain't ready to face them yet. And they were trying to tell me how they'd been spending time by themselves and not dating and having sex. And I said, but what did you do when you were in that time by yourself? You know, did you really seek God or the divine, as you would call it, or the universe or whatever the fuck? Did you really, really set aside time and schedule that and get after spirituality? Y'all, we got to chase spirituality like we chase dick and pussy and alcohol and drugs and money and travel and a sense of freedom that people call themselves having, though you're not really free because you're bound by the things you like to do and you can't stop them. And and I was like, because I was reading her energy and her spirit and it hadn't changed. And I hadn't seen her in a few months, and I can tell if somebody's grown spiritually if they just been fucking around and bullshitting because everything you do leaves an energetic trace on you, and people who have sight, you know, can tell just by how you feel what the fuck you've been doing. Okay? If you've been doing things that have really been not serving you the way you think. And so I was just telling her very nicely, girl, you know, go into isolation, but the next time you do it, actually work on yourself while you're there. Don't just sit there and watch the damn paint dry. You got to pray, fast, meditate, read scriptures, look up videos and things online, and really, really sing songs of worship unto the Lord. I'll put my playlist to my Apple Music. I'll put two of them. I'll put my LSD playlist and my spiritual gospel playlist, the one on there. They're both spiritual. One hits a little harder if you happen to be on a little LSD, and the other one not, you know, really need it for, but whatever your psychedelic of choice is. Lord have so much fucking mercy on my ass. But this hangman here is about learning how to see people in the world from the inside out rather the outside in. Like I was just telling you, when I meet people and see them, the first thing I tune into is their aura, their spirit, their vibe. But like if I'm attracted to a dude, I literally could be down the road or days later and be like, oh wait, I think he was hot because I was too busy trying to read like his energy signature because how somebody looks is completely useless. Like, like it means absolutely nothing. Because what you take home, what you date, what you marry, who you befriend is that soul. It ain't that sack of flesh. And my mind has been so trained now that I have to like actually remember to check out the physical parts because I've gotten in so much danger and trouble just fucking around looking at the physical shit and not paying enough attention to the spiritual things before I was enlightened and that before I ascended. I'm not gonna do that anymore. You gotta learn how to look at people from a new point of view, from the inside out. How do you feel when you're around them? The words they say, choose to use their tone of voice. What is that giving you about their soul state? Not how they look. Because if you really pay attention to people, a lot of words that leave their lips don't mean how they sound, and it don't add up to the vibe that's reverberating from them. We can't overlook those things and be so desperate for affection and companionship and company or to get laid, to have a friend to hang out with that we overlook these signs. Okay? When you're in isolation, you learn how to slow down and go without. And suddenly, that shit you felt like you couldn't live without sex, fast food, gambling. I'm not saying all that's evil, but I'm saying if you do it the wrong fucking way, it can and will destroy you. Community, hanging out with your family. People have a strong codependency on blood family. I'm gonna say that shit again. Some of y'all are fucking strung out on your family, friends, your sexual partners. Some of y'all, there's so much damn codependency and fucked up attachment issues that society seems to accept. And it really fucking pisses me off. There's people with throw so much shade like they did to me when I was a homeless crackhead shooting up drugs every day. And yet I can watch people be so addicted to say like church or to a preacher or to their boyfriend or to their fucking children that if they act like they can't live without them. I'm gonna tell you, it's just as damn dangerous. Anything out of balance or done too much ain't good. It's not smart and it's not healthy for anybody. But when we go into isolation and we actually fasting is powerful for that too. Like intentionally going out food or a certain type of food or a thing you love for a specified amount of time is training yourself to be in control of yourself. But then you suddenly be like, damn, I actually can live without that. I won't turn into a turnip or some shit if I don't have sex for a year, if I don't have fast food anymore or alcohol. Like I actually was addicted to that shit and didn't fucking realize it until I set my ass down. Because what the devil is trying to do is keep you so fucking busy and so fucking gotta go here, gotta go there, gotta do this, gotta do that, that you don't stop to pay attention to what the spirit is telling you. The echoes from deep inside of you, you can't hear them if you're constantly fucking moving. And I wonder how you define happiness. Is it a state of doing? Is it a state of movement? Is it a state of constant motion? Is it what you can acquire? Is it how other people view you? Have you really thought about what defines your value and what makes you happy? Could it be that you've been living off of ideas somebody else put in your head when you were younger, when you were older and yet still gullible and easy to manipulate? You know, are you really living your truth? I was thinking earlier about how I had that job as a substation electrician in Houston before I became homeless and I walked away from that job. I didn't like that job. I never did. I had always thought about opening an underwear business, which thank God it is. I mean, fuck, it's a damn near midnight, almost the 4th of October, and I am entering my first year anniversary of being a New Yorker and my 10-year anniversary of owning and running Down Under Apparel. And I'm going to a goth club tonight to celebrate it. And I'm going to be, I don't know, doing like some shrooms and some shit and whatever, and really like vibing on it in my all black and getting my life. It- I never liked that fucking job. And I had always thought about, or for some time, thought about turning my underwear fetish into a business. I was comfortable making 35 to $70 an hour, and the busyness of running away from facing my issues and partying every damn night and sleeping around as rampantly as I was. There really isn't anything I'm telling y'all to slow the fuck down and stop doing that I didn't do already and wrecked myself doing. I'm trying to warn you to not make the same mistakes that I did. I'm preaching from life experience here. I didn't go to school. I went to the school of fucking hard knocks. I knew I wanted to start an underwear business, but I was so comfortable with the money that I made, the social life that I had, that I did not stop to follow my true truth. It would have been hard to walk away from. I would have had to explain myself to people I thought. Now I do what the fuck I want. I dare a bitch to try to get me to, 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 to explain myself. But I feel you. But it would have been hard because there was pressure. I couldn't damn near take a day off from work or leave early without somebody being like, "How dare you? We need you to be here." But you see, I wasn't really free, and I guess I used the money to try to justify me going into this bondage and abuse every day. But I was not free. Didn't matter if my checks were thousands of dollars every 2 weeks. I was not fucking free. Or I could go buy all these drugs and get all this dick and get all this and do all this traveling. All that was me trying to numb the fact that I wasn't fucking free and I wasn't fucking happy. No, I wasn't. I wasn't doing what the fuck I wanted to do. I wasn't doing what my heart was telling me to do. And it took me losing everything and running away from pain and catching HIV and hepatitis B and becoming homeless, selling drugs, getting hemmed up by SWAT and going to jail, to walk away from the job that I never wanted, to having such a fucked up criminal record that I couldn't really just get a job like that, to then starting the underwear business that I'm ultimately very happy with now. I'm trying to get you to not have to fucking lose everything to get some sense knocked into your ass, which is what I had to do. Yeah, I'm all wise and ascendant and shit now, but I wasn't always this way. I wasn't a complete idiot, but I had a whole lot of fucking pain and unresolved childhood issues, attachment styles and molestation to work through and abuse and shit that I just thought just was gonna fade with time or wasn't actually affecting me. The thing is, And I'm gonna spend a second talking about this hangman because this is a pivotal fucking card. Alright. It's like this. Inside of you, you have like a spiritual immune system. Is the best way I can explain it. So that thing only has so much energy. You only have so much energy. In some cultures, they have this thing called Jin. It's like yin, yang, not Jin, yin, yang, and I think it is Jin. And the idea is that the person, any of us have only so much energy. And once we expend that energy, we die. I'm not saying I agree or disagree, just some food for thought. That's called Jin in different cultures. Makes you really want to consider how you spend your time now, don't it? Which you will have to explain when you die, what you did with your time. Lord have mercy. Your internal spirit, you can't really move forward the way you think that you want to until you pause, because that unresolved trauma within you, like my friend I was telling you about, who knows that she has issues, but also don't want to fucking face them, but she's ready to go out and date. She's not ever going to be able to have the love she wants because that issue is still there. Why? Because you only have so much energy. And it's like your spiritual immune system is stressed, trying to heal your inner child issues, trying to detach you from those fucked up attachment styles that came from your fucked up childhood, or the things that fucked you up in your childhood. The whole child didn't have to be fucked up. But what I'm trying to get you to understand is only so much of you to go around. There's only so much strength, and you can't move forward if you haven't healed what's behind you. You could go set up lifestyles and businesses and shit with people, but you're not going to know true happiness. You have got to stop and pause and reflect rather than doing. I'm not trying to take nothing from you. I'm trying to get you to actually enjoy shit like you're supposed to. Not the how you think you're supposed to. I thought I was living my best life, making that money, volunteering at Lakewood Church and doing all of that. I was not. I wasn't. It wasn't until I set my ass down, got out of people's energy. This here is the second time in my life that I stopped having sex for like a year or two or whatever the fuck it was. And it's like you stop, you pause, and then when you go back to do the things that you like to do, you actually do them at a higher vibration. Nobody's saying stop your pleasures forever, but pause for a hot second, okay, to get your fucking head on right. Those that pain behind you, that have to be childhood issues. It could be the last relationship you have. You know how some of y'all like to hop from one fucking relationship to another without healing and really processing through. That shit still follows you around like ghost, bad, nasty ass ghost haunting you and shit. So your spirit can't give you what you need to enjoy the present because your spirit is still trying to work with your past, but you're trying to ignore that by moving to the future, but you can't do that. It's not your fault what people did to you as a kid, but you got to own up and just fucking take responsibility to deal with the shit. There's too much healing available for people who go unhealed in this day and time. You have to leave your house to talk to counselors, medicine men. You can get Reiki healing over Zoom. Goddamn, like tarot readings over Zoom. It's literally at your fingertip. Deliverance is here. While we are in this isolation, we take on a view and we understand how there are ripple effects to every fucking thing that we do and every interaction. This is why I warn y'all so much to be careful who the fuck you let get in your energy. Don't be so desperate for this shit, y'all. Well, I don't rush relationships because I understand everything leaves an imprint. Everything we do changes us and it redirects us. We're constantly in a state of change. It's as beautiful. We're supposed to be. If I'm dating somebody and we hang out, we just changed. Whatever we did when we hung out, whether we had sex or we prayed or we meditated or we walked by the river, we changed. We two then are going to separate and go have better interactions with friends or whoever it might be. How we showed up for our other relationships are directly impacted by what we do when we're alone and by what we do when we're with other people. Things are not in a vacuum or done in a bubble. And we bear the karmic consequences of that. So what does this mean? Sitting around gossiping with people, talking nasty and negative, getting whatever false sense of validation you get from being so tacky and petty in private follows you out in public. And and this is why you just can't fool some people, because you can't be all stressed out and high strung behind closed door and put on that mask and come out and act like you have it together. Some of us can see right through that, because over time, the things we say and do in private changes us. This is subtle. The way this works. The devil is not about to deceive you with something that won't make you feel good on some level of your understanding. And he's usually not going to try to deceive you with something that's going to render an obvious negative change. It'll be the kind of thing where years might pass by and you don't understand why you look 20 years older than you're supposed to, or why your health is fading. Because Lucifer tricked you with temporary living in the moment sensuality, be it some shallow ass sex you did or gossiping or whatever the fuck fed your flesh in a low vibrational sensual way. It shit siphons a life from you. It does. While you think you're feeling good, the devil is draining you and killing you at the same time. Slowly. It's a slow drip type of poison. Lucifer is crafty as fuck, but we are not ignorant of his devices. But I'm teaching you his devices. I did 2 episodes. Go back and look at them. Lucifer's devices, part 1 and part 2. I can't cover all of his tricks. I'm trying to train you to understand how subtle evil energies are. They're not just going to be all in your face. When you're in isolation, you can see this. But we bear responsibility for picking the relationships, friends, lovers, whatever, and monitoring those energies. Because when we're around people, we change. Then we go out and we take those changes with us to other people. And so we have to have a high level of scrutiny of who the fuck we choose to hang out with and why. You will be accountable for these things when you depart this plane of existence, y'all. hmm And this is why we don't try to rush shit and we rely on God's timing. This is a very patient card. This is a card of letting go and surrender. And, I used to want to rush in relationships and I fall in love so damn fast. I'm just a tender fucking hearted fucking diehard romantic. I am. But at the same time, fuck you. Like if I have to, but if I'm gonna love somebody, I'm gonna love them very fucking hard if I'm going to bother. But I had to fucking learn to not be conditioned by society telling me that I need to be at a certain point with somebody at a certain point. Why? Because that person's going through changes. I'm going through changes. The way we interact is going to change our individual worlds. And God is looking at all of this happening. I'm going to let God pick how fast we move. It will progress, but I let go of this need to have a certain thing or certain advancement level with somebody or certain whatever by a certain time, because there's factors attached to my desires that I am not aware of. And so I had to surrender, like what we do in this hangman here, and let fucking go. But I had to learn this by studying and paying attention to the minutia within myself in isolation. One of my greatest gifts of coming to New York was not knowing a whole fucking lot of people to go run around with and being in the homeless shelters and having to sit still. I tried to go run out there and be out every night and it didn't work. I got overwhelmed by this city and I had to stop and slow the fuck down and do it my way and stop trying to act like how I was seeing other New Yorkers act and actually own my own strength and I really carve out who the fuck I am. That's the only way you can make it. It really in this world, but especially in this city, you gotta know who the fuck you are. And if you don't, then you'll get lost in all of these identities and things. And if not, you really gotta know who you are to be a strong New Yorker. You got some weak New Yorkers too now, unfortunately. Be sure that the tape, if you're playing in your head, is yours. Why did I think I wanted to be a substation electrician? People around me kept saying how good it is, how great it is, how wonderful it is. That's not what my soul was saying to me. People praised me for having such a good job, but I praise you for being independent, for following your own path. Don't let the devil, I mean, that is one of Lucifer's devices, that false validation I got from that job and looking at the money, and people were actually encouraging me to stay in something that was a prison for me. It happens all the time. And people run out, get these families and these jobs, and they're not fucking happy. That's why millionaires kill themselves. Like this guy's upside down in this card. Your world is supposed to be turned upside down by what you find in isolation. Doesn't mean it's gonna happen the moment you close your eyes to meditate, but you should be shocked because if life, things are just not what they seem until you really slow down. You could waste a lot, waste, want to use that word, spend a lot of years doing things that really were like an avoidant attachment style. It wasn't the truth. I reference this often, but people be in relationships with people for like 10, 20 fucking years, have children with them and be like, you know what? I never loved you. Thanks for the honesty now, bitch, but you're a fucking cunt. And I want to tell people to burn in hell, but that's one of those times that if one were to say it, I would not give them a side eye. I've seen this happen to people I know. I mean, that little 4.5 year relationship I was in with that covert narcissist, I think about the Lord Jesus, the people who were with, who were like 10, 20 years, only to find out they never knew the person. So pay attention, listen to your soul, listen to your truth, nobody else's fucking truth. And be sure that the life that you are living is yours. And some of these things that people put in us can be so goddamn deep that we just can't hear it until we slow down and give God time. God's not going to move on your timing. He's going to move on his timing or the universe or the divine, however you want to call it. It's like that mental construct. And I'm going to do a whole different episode on mental constructs that I set up in my head where I thought that I was almost one of the girls to the extent of considering getting a sex change some time ago. And I had got all this like more feminine lingerie, not necessarily woman's lingerie, but now they make like men's lingerie that's very lacy. And I never even wore it. You know, it was like, why? You know, I found myself trying to act more girly and I would see more girly, you know, like straight up gay guys out there. And I've had girlfriends and stuff before. I'm not even a gold star gay. And eventually it came to me, it's like, wait a minute, I'm not actually that way. And I just realized this like a few months ago, and I'm about to be 42. And what I had done was set up a construct in my head when I was a child due to the molestation and abuse to shield my masculine side from becoming corrupted by the males, that every male in the blood family I left as a narcissist, every one of them, an abuser in some way. And I was accepted by the females, but rejected by the males. At church, in school, in the military, all of it. Always accepted by the females, but rejected by the males. And so I began to take on feminine qualities, but that's not actually, I did that to feel safe and to feel accepted and to protect myself and to hide in that energy. But I was not really that energy. And I didn't feel authentic being, you know, trying to act girly, but I did the shit for decades. And then one day I was like, wait a minute. It's just that I began to be aware, like how I was acting. I was like, I'm forcing this. I'm forcing these feminine mannerisms. I was like, I'm actually forcing this. Why? And then the spirit took my mind back to the beginning. It was a defense mechanism. It was a protective shield, but it wasn't me living my truth. And it was not until I slowed the fuck down and I got the fuck away from people and I got out of their energy that I could see this level of detail in the power that my very own mind set up to lie to itself in order to help itself. Okay. It worked for a while because I didn't end up growing up to be a narcissist, and I'm thankful for that. I'd rather have suffered the abuse I did than to be like the dudes in the family I love, 'cause them are some treacherous ass people. And but that's just an example of how the mind can work. That's me examining my own mind. You know, do you really know that there's just shit about your lovers, your children, and things that you just will never fucking know? It's on them to go on down this path for themselves. And that's why I don't go run trying to get in relationships with people. Have they done this sort of work? Do they really know who the fuck they are? Or are they yet living a lie and don't realize it? A relationship with somebody like that will never fucking work. Or you can go have some experiences with them and shit and have sex and shit, but you won't actually have a true fucking relationship like what God intended. And God is not going to be there with you like that because it's built on lie. That's one of the main reasons I harp on people for stopping having sex for a year, because you really need time to work through this type of shit. Like, this ain't just gonna come to you over fucking night. All right. Having other people's energy in you is what happens when you have sex. Oral sex, watching it, porn, all of that is energy transfer. Like, I was trying to explain to this dude who messaged me like on YouTube. He was all like, "What's wrong with porn? Why can't I watch it?" Again, just because it feels right and you're not hurting other people doesn't mean you're not hurting you. Everything leaves an impression on you. Then I tried to explain to him how the damage is subtle and it'll take decades probably for it to show up. But then he's going to find himself not being able to relate with people in quite the way he wants to. And then when that rejection comes and he's going to revert back into more pornography, and before he knows it, Lucifer could take his whole fucking ability to show up that way with people. He won't know why. And that's just one way. The energy transfers off of that. I don't feel like sex is supposed to be watched. It's a sacred ritual. I don't think it's supposed to be on public display. Practically, there's damage that can be done to people. I think it's so fucking beautiful that it's not supposed to be observed. It's just fucking sacred to me. And it's just one of those things that I just value, and it's not for entertainment. It's powerful. And the way magic works and flows through it, I just looking at it at the multi-level spiritual layer that sex is, I do not I don't care for porn. And I watched it for years. And now that I've gotten away from it, I wonder what the fuck was I doing with my life? I never needed that. Just like I never needed fast food, even though I ate that for years. There's just so much shit that I used to do daily, like porn and fast food, that I just don't touch anymore. Crack, crystal meth, alcohol, cocaine. Shit I never thought I'd stop. But I'm gonna tell you, when the Lord changes you, you're gonna be well changed. And you're gonna look back on those things and have to actually remember having done them. In isolation is where this power, it can be given to you to see where you are being false, where other people are being false. Because people can just hide so much fear, like I was talking about in another show, how there's low vibrational polyamory and people go and with these avoided attachment styles and set up all these different people to sleep with, but they never ever give their true full vulnerability to any of them. What they call themselves poly. No, that's being like a fearful person. You're in fear, but you really gotta like slow down and see this. And then I hear people say things where they don't want to slow down. Like, gosh, there's always something to do. If it's not one thing, then it's another. Like they're frustrated, but then I evaluate and I'm all like, but this is all shit you chose to do. You set this up. Like literally nobody's making you do this and try to be everything for everyone and be all these things for all these people or try to be everywhere all the damn time. You're not in jail. You chose this life. And then you're bitching about never having enough time, or you're happy with not never having enough time because you're not really slowing down to face yourself and you've convinced yourself that that's a quality of life. Hmm. I love how this card draws our attention to the need to not just be still, but to come out of that stillness with a whole new take on shit. I used to feel so fucking overwhelmed, like I just didn't have enough time to do anything. And now I actually do less shit. And it feels like I get further in life. I do less things and I hang out with less people, but I make sure those things are things that I'm called to do, high quality things, and that the people I hang out with are very high vibrational. And it's like I get further by doing less. I get further physically, materialistically, spiritually, and mentally by actually doing less. But I had to master detachment and let go of people, places, and things that I never thought I could be without. I had to let their asses go. And then I got catapulted, into like divine promotions and things like that. But I remember those days going to work, going to happy hour, probably finding something to fuck, and basically rinse, wash, repeat, or drinking when I got home. That I never slowed down for true reflection. I did that shit for years, back to back to back, until something bad enough happened to force me to slow down. The time of judgment that's upon us is like that. And the Lord is really, really warning you, slow down, reflect, or he will make you. Some people call that the tower, from the tarot. You, that's how the old people say God got a way of showing you that he is God. Anyway, now that I've spent this much time talking about this hanged man, because this card is that crucial, like, I just will never ever stop preaching or overstate the value of the things that can come to you when you just slow down. You're going to see yourself truly, you're going to see other people truly, and new ideas will come to you. Like, I actually slowed down enough to stop bitching about how much airport food costs and things like that, to just boil me some eggs and take me some fish packets, popcorn and peanuts, and just pack the shit and be done with it. You see, I stopped complaining about shit, and for years that bothered me, and suddenly I was like, "Wait a minute, I could actually do something about that." That's how this type of energy works. It's like when we stop, well, it's moving so much, we actually find we can fix the shit we bitch about. If we don't like, we actually can change it. In numerology, the number 12 represents growth from the physical to the spiritual realm, and vice versa. The number 1 symbolizes new beginnings and independence, and the number 2 symbolizes growth, development, and patience. Added together, they make 3, which symbolizes creativity, growth, and optimism. 12 numerology, fuck, 12, 12 in numerology clearly has a connection to the human life cycle. Also in numerology, the number 12 represents completion, which is fitting considering that the angel number of 12 may be a sign that it's time to let something go in order for something new to begin. And if you're experiencing repeating numbers such as 12, 12, then it's possibly a sign of a spiritual awakening. Even 12s tarots, even 12s in tarot cards, the hangman speaks to this, for the hangman symbolizes a pause and a new perspective, the new awakening, if you will. Only thing I would disagree with from this numerology reading here, and all these websites will go in the show notes that I pulled from quite a few. I do not agree with the letting go of something so that something new can come in. I'm more for letting go of something so that you can be still in the void, learn your lessons, give God glory, bring you out of that thing, and sitting still in that void for a hot, spicy fucking minute before you let the new come in. And not with the idea that you're just letting it go to get some new shit, whatever it might be. Let it go because it's healthy for you to do, even if it's painful, and deal with the new once you have gotten the fortitude and the structure to deal with the new. So let's get away from this going from one thing to another mentality. Sometimes we need to just sit still in the silence, find acquaintance with silence. How does that saying go? Inside each of us lies a stillness as vast as the universe. When we remember that silence, we remember who we are. be the steel point, the turning of the world, all that kind of thing. And this card does represent enlightenment and awakening too, which is also what this glow is about him. Awakening and enlightenment does come in isolation. You will not grow in wisdom always being around people. You're gonna have to take time to yourself if you're actually gonna get serious about your spirituality. It's just the way it is. And schedule your spirituality in. It's like you schedule your dick appointments and your pussy appointments and your trips and your travel and all your fucking shit. You have to schedule God in. This ain't just gonna fall on you. And you have to mean it. This represents life path number 3. The zodiac sign is Pisces and the planet is Neptune. This is a mutable sign because Pisces is a mutable sign, and this sign begins when summer is ending. The element is water. The next card is the death card. Oh my gosh. Does she not have a jawline for days, darling? For days. This is card number 13. Let me read to you what Llewellyn has to say. When the death card is upright, this signals a period of significant change and transformation. A new seed is sprouting in your life. One chapter is ending and another one is beginning. This necessary process should not be denied or avoided, not that you can. The major theme of this card is out with the old to make way for the new. Have courage to face the unknown because new life awaits you. Keep in mind the biblical admonition, except a grain of wheat falls into the ground and dies, it abides alone. But if it dies, it brings forth much fruit. I'm actually reminded, I think I was reading here in The God Emperor of Dune, which gives me life. I love Dune, everything about it. Leto the second was talking about, and Leto is somebody who represents total fucking enlightenment and awakening in Dune. How when a path is before you and it's new, it's strange and it's odd and it's fucking awkward and it's unfamiliar and you've never seen it before, but that's called growth. Okay. This death card here is about understand that transformation and change is necessary and there's no fucking way that you can get around it. So you just better get comfortable with detachment and letting shit go in life and wonder where you got this idea where you always have to have certain things, certain people, certain familiarities, certain creature comforts. Why does it have to be that way? Why can't we accept the fuck that change is going to happen? Shit has to end. Relationships will end, be it death or breakups or whatever the fuck. Although death doesn't technically end a relationship because you're spiritually still connected to people if you were truthful with them in the relationship and such and not abusive and all of that. But this death echoes back to the hangman card though, because when you're in that state of going through things, the things that you come up with and the things that are revealed to you could make you feel dead in a way. But this is not something to be avoided because you want the shit you want that to die. Sometimes when we feel like we're dying, like after a breakup or something bad, is maybe bad shit dying within us that wasn't serving us any fucking way. As I tell you, like certain mental gains that I've had, like certain OCD thoughts that I had that I don't have anymore, like I don't know when they left. Sometime this year since I've been here going through all these changes in New York, it's like I felt like I was just dying on so many days and I didn't know how the fuck I could move forward. But I really think that through that, God was purging out of me things that I don't need. Cause it's like, I just, like, wait, I don't even know when the fuck I got this deliverance, but I don't have a problem anymore. Because God will do that. He'll come up beside you and reach inside of you and take some shit out of you. And you don't even know the spirit didn't been there and done it. And the problem that you had, you don't have it no more. The things that used to vex your mind are gone. You even know when the fuck it happened. So it could be that thing that's making you feel dead is actually killing shit inside of you that you don't need. You might feel like you're dying when you're letting go of some of these habits that you're grown accustomed to, like your sex with people you don't know, and hooking up and dating apps and letting alcohol and shit go. I mean, when I used to drink, the thought of stopping drinking would make me just curl up like, oh my God, I can't see myself without a lemon drop martini. Whatever will I do? You might feel like you're dying when you're having withdrawals from shit. I've been there before. But this reminds me, I was reading this scripture in Ezekiel chapter 7 this morning, and it talks about how people's pleasure and their sensuality. I'm getting ahead of myself. I really should save this for the devil card, but I'm going to go ahead and read it now. It's talking about how shit you won't let go of is ultimately what fucking kills you. Let me read this from Ezekiel 7, and this is verse 17 through 19. It says, all hands shall be feeble, and all knees shall be weak as water. They shall also gird themselves with sackcloth, and horror shall cover them, and shame shall be upon all faces, and baldness upon all their heads. They shall cast their silver in the streets, and their gold shall be removed. Their silver and their gold shall not be able to deliver them in the day of the wrath of the Lord. They shall not satisfy their souls, either fill their bowels, because it is the stumbling block of their iniquity. So what God is saying here, and in this chapter, Ezekiel is talking to the nation of Israel that got too happy, too fat, so to speak, too comfortable, living life, doing all the fuck they wanted to do, doing who the fuck they wanted to do, and is living for pleasure and consumption, and they were not scheduling time with the Lord. And if they were, they didn't mean it. It was just rituals, like going to church out of habit and not really actually fostering a private connection with the Lord, for instance. Well, I know how I feel about churches and how we don't need middlemen. We have Jesus. Go to God for yourself. But and start off with church, but graduate from church if you need to. But I understand that, but there's no reason to develop a codependency on churches is what you have. But you've been at church for a while, you're codependent on it, and I don't give a damn. Yes, codependent on the community. Mostly. I would like to think there's somebody in church who's not codependent, but what the fuck do you need with church after 10 or 20 years? It's school. Graduate. Go off and learn God for yourself. Like I literally don't get what you need it, what you still need it for. Somebody write me and tell me. If you're not really there, just because you've gotten used to it and developed a habit and you don't know what your life would be like without that church. I've been there before. I've been codependent and addicted to church. I know what the fuck I'm talking about. But in this scripture here, he's talking about how people's fucking pleasures is what caused them to stumble. The problem is the things that are really killing you can make you feel alive. And that's what you have to go into isolation to discern. And this is what the devil wants to keep you so busy that you won't ever be able to figure it out. And he's trying to siphon your life away from you before you get a chance to pay attention to shit by giving you surface level sensual pleasures and that just do not profit you. And they could look like a lot of fucking things. You could volunteer too much as a form of avoidance. You could be too generous with your money. You could be t- t- too benevolent in various ways. It's not just quote unquote destructive things like drugs and whatever. It can be veiled as something like going to church, and all of those things could be the same things as a stumbling block for somebody in their iniquity. Anything that takes your time and energy, you put more of it into that than you do God is a stumbling block. If you review your time and you ain't as concerned about your spirituality as you are about going to get laid or finding somebody to date or a trip to take or some volunteering to go do or whatever the fuck, plants to go throw in the ground, watch it because you got to be careful that you don't make an idol out of things. You can make an idol out of any fucking thing and anybody. And what Lucifer don't want you to know is just because something feels good or it's good intended, that it also can become a stumbling block. Yes, it can, but you won't be even paying attention to that if you're always doing. And so this death card is about after you realized some shit ain't serving you, going through the pain of letting it go. This really doesn't actually represent a physical death. As I understand it, you have to have more cards on the table for that to be like this, maybe the Four of Swords and a couple of other ones together to indicate like an actual death. But actually, death is not bad. Jesus said to rejoice when people die and they're born when they're born. The world, like, flip that around for all kinds of reasons. I don't feel like going down that fucking rabbit hole. But the old people who die in the Lord get that shit though. They be ready and they're happy to fucking close their eyes. They're like, fuck, yes. This is once you realize and to turn something loose that you've been attached to for a really long time is not supposed to be comfortable. It's supposed to be uncomfortable because you once valued that thing. It once served you on some level, or at least you thought it did, and now you're divorcing that. You should be somewhere crying, feeling some type of way, perhaps in front of a counselor of some variety, spiritual, esoteric, secular, whatever. That's natural because if you had some love for something, I mourned letting crystal meth and crack and cocaine and alcohol go in the community that had to be let go with that. But I understood that it wasn't for my best. And so I had to experience death by letting addictions go, letting the church go, letting all that false ass community and shit go. It wasn't fucking real. What is the alcohol and friends around alcohol and so many activities and events that surround alcohol based on consumption? What does alcohol really do? Lowers your vibration? Yes, it does. Does it have healing properties to it? Wine? Yes, to a degree. But the over commercialization of alcohol, the low vibrational ways that it's made, the extracts the healing properties that it once held. Because the Bible talks about how alcohol is actually good for you. And if consumed in moderation can help you, but that was the alcohol they had thousands of years ago, not shit that's produced in factories and shit now with all this bullshit added to it. That is why alcohol fucking saddens you and depresses you and shit subtly. And then you look around and like I was talking to somebody, I was at the, mm, I was just somewhere out in New York, I'm gonna say it like that. And this person was telling me that this person was in the hospital, like a fucking life support or an ICU or some shit because of a fucking, I think it was like a carotid artery. Fuck, I think it's the one, but it's that fucking artery that goes way the fuck from up in your neck and go down under your liver and shit. Somehow his blood pressure got fucked up from him drinking all the damn time that it caused that fucking artery to burst somewhere down in like his stomach. And then he was fucking in the hospital, like dying and shit. Okay, that didn't happen overnight. Okay, what happened was that the devil distracted him from whatever pain he was really trying to nurse. I'm not saying it's his fault or judging him. I'm just saying this is an example of how the shit can work. And he wasn't paying attention to what his body was probably telling him or what the spirit could have been speaking to him. Because you don't have one drink and then get high blood pressure or some type of fucking diabetes or whatever the hell, hypertension or the fuck comes along with drinking problems, delirium tremens and shit like that overnight. That shit creeps up on you over time. And when you don't slow down to stop doing the things you do, suddenly you got a big whole ass problem that you can't get rid of. The thing that happened overnight. This card here is about having the balls to let go of some shit and to admit the fact that you were strung out on it. You weren't no damn 12-step meetings, but you have a plenty of addicted people who have never stepped foot in 12 steps. I don't care for 12 steps. And I've talked about that on other shows, another rabbit hole I won't go down. This here is about power, gaining power over yourself. But behold, there's like a sun in the background. and all of these different beings and people. This is a fucking person laying down under the ground and shit like that. There's so much imagery in these cards is unreal, but there's hope in this card because of this sun. Everything is going to be all right as long as you are willing to let go of that which you fear to lose, which is what Yoda told Anakin to do when he could not master detachment and let Padme and his twins go. Instead, he went and ran his ass into the devil and got turned into Vader because he couldn't fucking let it go. Had he let the shit go, he could have kept her and everything would have fucking been all right. Those visions Anakin had were from fear. They weren't the truth. And like Yoda told him, one must be careful of sensing the future. You know, you gotta be careful with how your emotions talk to you. This dude on this death here is not broken. He's riding in victoriously, actually, on a white horse, okay, which is a very victorious color. He may not feel like there's much left on them bones, but he's still riding his damn horse until this new sunrise. Okay, I've been there so many times in my life feeling like I'm just gonna combust into a billion particulates, but the Lord kept me going every time. As that scripture say, those who wait on the Lord will run and not get weary, walk and not faint. It shall renew their strength. This card is about letting go. It's about letting go and feeling the feelings of going through the pain of letting shit go that you always thought you would have, and letting people go you always thought you would have. This is about embracing painful ass transformation, perhaps from information gained while you were in this hangman. I like this death card. You know, and all these little deaths we experience through life get us ready to ultimately die. Once we get accustomed to this shit coming and going, people coming and going, though a few must remain, we get accustomed to detaching. It's a skill. It's a muscle to nurture and develop for sure. But we get accustomed to that. And then when the time your actual death comes around, it's just yet another death. You stop fearing death and you start, in a way, and kind of looking forward to it. At least with me, I used to like fucking have this great fear of death. Now I've died so many times, quote unquote, in this life. I'm like, okay, I get it. I don't fear death anymore. I'm like, okay, well, whenever she comes around, she will be welcome. Numerology, the number 13 has many meanings. By some, it is considered to be the sacred number. It is considered to be a very karmic number in numerology. The number 13 is associated with the divine and is said to bring good luck and prosperity to those who embrace it. Many believe that the number 13 has the ability to bring about change, which can often lead to having a positive outlook. Also known as the angel number, in some cultures, it symbolizes a leading with love and compassion and remaining positive in the face of negativity. The number 13 is also a symbol of being passionate about one's ambitions and aiding in finding future successes. 13 is a number that gives originality, depth of personality, and an ability to transform oneself and others. The number 13 resonates with the planet Uranus, which stands for innovation, new ideas, the genius mind, and transformation. Number 13 plays a significant role in our culture and has a lot of deep symbolism. To understand this complex number, it is valuable to look at the symbolism in the tarot card for number 13. The tarot card 13 is called Death, which symbolizes that the old must die to bring forth the new. This is true of the outer physical world and our inner universe. The number 13 is the most transformational of all the numbers, with the digit sum 4. You wish to create transformation on the outside and in the inner world. Therefore, you cannot help but do everything in your unique way, something that will reflect in your style and taste. This is life path number 4, because 13 reduces to 4. Zodiac sign is Scorpio. Planet is Pluto. This is a fixed sign. Falls in the middle of fall. In the death card, the element is water. The next card is card number 14, which is the Temperance. This beautiful angel here. giving us some winged fierceness. Yes. There's all kinds of things in this card, as there is in all of them. Let me read what Llewellyn has to say. When upright, the temperance card suggests that you are dealing with a situation involving the reconciliation of opposites within yourself. Like the alchemist of old, you are trying to convert a base metal into gold. You are called upon to act with moderation and exercise the virtue of temperance. With persistent effort, you will be able to blend competing forces harmoniously to create something of greater value. The Renaissance artists who created this image were no doubt inspired by the mixing of water and wine in the Catholic Mass, during which the priest prays, "Through the mystery of this water and wine, may we partake in the divine nature of Christ who humbled himself to share in our humanity." Mm. This card, as Llewellyn is telling us, has to do with balance. This card has a lot of medical associations with it. If this card were to come up in a reading, somebody might be like a doctor or a nurse or a dentist or something like that. It does have to do with balance of duality, the kind of like the high priestess of the chariot might as well. Some of the twos. I could see that in the Two of Pentacles too. Or, first of all, I love that this is an angel. Speaking about temperance, this is a Sagittarius card. I know I'm supposed to say that later, but since I am a Sagittarius, I mean, I'm a Scorpio ascendant too, but Sagittarius sun. I'm just gonna go ahead and tell you this planet is ruled by Jupiter, mutable sign, begins when fall is ending. The element here is fire. I'll just go ahead and be fiery and get a little ahead of myself, which is important. Very interesting for so much water to be in a card associated mainly with a fire sign because of balance. The one thing about being a fire sign myself, I own and acknowledge how intense I fucking am and can be. And then I intentionally control that intensity and willed it as I will. I don't let it run rampant with me the way I used to in my thinking and my emotions and my approach to people, situations, relationships, business, whatever. That old way that I used to get. I want to do far too much too fast. Stop that. I didn't demonize myself for it. I just said, this is who I am. However, I will control this about me. What we have to do is get to a point, let the divine elevate us to a point where we develop this skill of being able to objectively, spiritually, mentally, in this way, kind of like step outside of ourselves and evaluate ourselves objectively without judgment. Something I started doing recently. I was like, it's one of those blessings God gave me. I don't know when I started doing it, but I noticed that I had been doing it. I was like, wait a minute. My emotions are calm all the fucking time, which is a lot considering how strong they were when I was just shortly ago in those homeless shelters and all of that. Good Lord Jesus. And I was like, I'm calmly evaluating this thing that I'm not particularly fond of about myself without getting upset with myself or judging myself. When did I begin to do this? I wonder. Probably when I was in isolation praying somewhere and this gift was given to me. That's how it works. When you've been in that isolation and praying, you might not feel the wind, the spirit rush by you in the form of a rushing wind, but God might do something in you and you might not even realize it till later. And I'm like, I became quite temperate. As we see, there's a sun in the background. This is the same sun that's back here in this death card. Okay. Same sun. Told you everything was going to be all right as long as you told yourself the truth and that you let go of everything and everyone that mm, no matter who they are. Everybody's on the chopping block: mother, father, sister, brother, cousin, lovers, everybody, no matter how long you've known them. The book of Matthew, Jesus Christ talks about how those who are able to, not saying everybody has to or will need to, but those who leave sister, father, brother, children, houses, lands, For Christ's sake, it shall not, which means for the purpose of serving your fucking soul's purpose, will in no wise will inherit eternal life and will in no wise lose their reward. It is a big thing when we are able to master detachment to God. It does not go unnoticed because people act like they just can't let people fucking go. But when you do, understand your reward is great. It don't get no greater than eternal life. And then Jesus meant that in this life you shall no wise lose your reward. So what God is saying, because you were able to let go, you're gonna gain the most valuable things. And not only that, but you're gonna have the mindset to truly enjoy it because you won't have bad people with bad energy hanging in your energy, which drains you. It does. Not only does your unresolved issues draw on like your spiritual immune system, like I was talking about earlier, but having people in your energy who have low vibrations, who don't really like you, if you're just using them or they're just using you like just for sex or whatever, or just to have some, that fucking, it hurts you. It really fucking drains you in ways that you don't know. But this Temperance card, it's about settling. After you've experienced all of this new awakening and all this death and letting shit go, it's like a boiling pot. But eventually you got to settle the fuck down. This Temperance card is a great card to have show up because it speaks to balance within. And once you're balanced within, then you can keep balance without. And it speaks to dualities and it speaks to healing and angelic presences and things like that we need. Numerology number 14 is a card of communication, networking, the union of opposites, and business innovation. Then this number has an excellent sense of balance and timing. So you say the right things at the right time and master the subtle art of situational awareness and communication. All right. The next card is card 15, which is El Diablo, El Diablito, Lucifer, the Satan, Beelzebub, the fallen one. They call him the morning star too. Some say his body was made out of instruments. Some say the devil. Let's see what Llewellyn had to say about Lucifer. Lord have mercy. When upright, the devil suggests that you have an opportunity to pursue activities that provide intense pleasure and satisfaction. This card often appears when we are contemplating a project requiring an almost obsessional devotion to achieve a material ambition. The devil cautioned us to maintain balance in our lives as we eagerly pursue this goal and not to allow excessive attachment to material temptations to lead us astray. Well, shit. I mean, it's interesting how there's so much intersectionality and overlapping in these cards, because it's almost like God is trying to tell you the same thing so many damn different ways. Some of this is different personality type is going to take to different cards, but some of it is just hard-headed motherfucking people who need to be told the same shit again and again and again and fucking again before they get it. And that's okay. Because that's what we're here for, to be patient with your hard-headed motherfucking asses until you get some sense knocked into you. Hopefully that don't happen because this next card that we're going to be talking about, which is the Tower. Glory be to God. Uh, I mean, Llewellyn is just echoing everything that I just got finished telling you. Sensuality is not the fucking problem. Sensual physical pleasure is actually God's idea. The problem is when you go too far with it and then you try to say because it's a natural feeling or because we're not hurting anybody, then we're not doing it too much or it's too bad or because you can't stop. I say anything you can't stop when you want to because you want to has control of you. I don't give a damn what it is. Besides, even food, I've gone as far as 3 days without food or water. Some other highly spiritual people I know have done that for 4 days. I don't know of anybody who's gone beyond that. I didn't die. As you can see, I'm still very fucking much alive. You just don't need shit the way your mind is trying to tell you you do. No, you don't. And this card is trying to fucking tell you this. If you pay attention in this card, this devil has these loose ass chains. These chains aren't even tight on these people's necks. They could flip that shit off of their necks and walk away from this devil any time they ready. But the problem is, like what I was talking about in Ezekiel, people don't want to let go of the things that they know ain't serving them because it's comfortable. I could have walked away from that job in the substation at any time, but I didn't because it provided enough sensual distraction for me to convince myself that it was worth staying for, but it was not true. And so here came one of these and it knocked my ass out of my tower. And so I'm not there anymore, which I explained earlier. This card here, I mean, she said this shit well. I can read this again because I usually read things in real time. I don't do a lot of prep work so that I can give you that real time reaction. I'd be sure that what I'm saying isn't filtered. So really when I'm reading, it's my first time seeing it too. I've verified with sources and all that. But when upright, the devil suggests that you have an opportunity to pursue activities that provide intense pleasure and satisfaction. This card often appears when we are contemplating a project requiring an almost obsessional devotion to achieve a material ambition. The devil cautions us to maintain balance in our lives and eagerly pursue the goal and not to allow excessive attachment to material temptations to lead us astray. Understand, people, you can be obsessively attached to any fucking thing, no matter what it is. And what you got to do is get quiet enough to understand when you're doing that and don't judge yourself for it, but just be like, oh shit, I've been putting in far too many hours at work. I need to get back in balance. I'm just fucking gonna take 5 days off, or just I'm not going in today, or whatever the case might be. Or fuck, I used to sit outside and watch my chickens in the yard too much when I was a child. I'd be out there for hours, homework not done. They didn't give a damn. I was fascinated with those furry little fuckers. You know, and I knew when every damn feather grew on all of them chickens. They all had names. I could tell you, I could, but it was still, it was to the point of fucking obsession though. And I had to like, I needed to fucking go in the house and get fucking other shit done. It's, and this card is about the fact that we're not really bound in the ways that we think we are. It's a matter of the mind. Yeah, it's gonna be some work to lift those chains off. It's not just a matter of flicking them away, but it can be done. It's gonna be a process. Expect that, but you're not alone. Because you have all these angels and everything helping you. You can call them the divine. You can call on people. You know, you don't have to do this by yourself. You know, even when you're in isolation, that doesn't necessarily mean cut off all communication with every fucking body, but you won't be lingering in people's energy for no significant length of time unless you have to go to work or some shit, which is not you necessarily per se choosing those specific energies. This card, if you remember the lover's card that I did in the previous episode, it echoes that. Because in that card, you have this Adam and Eve, and in their card, you have, I think that's Raphael, the Archangel Raphael behind them. Or in this case, you have the Satan. Some people say they're the same card, but two different angles. Some say the lover's cards are more about freedom and liberation, and this one is more about like mental entrapments. Looking at the stuff, the glass is half full in this card. You know, it's about a negative point of view. I think this speaks to those bad attachment styles. Like Lou Ellen is saying here, anxious attachment style, that was mine. I had an anxious attachment style due to not having enough attention paid to me and for being it not listened to as a child. So then when as an adult, if a man showed me a little bit of attention or any person, I'd go run off to be with that person and just attach myself to them without them having to really earn me. That's not healthy. And avoided attachment style, like I was referencing, but the people who just have all this sex with these people call themselves poly or just being hoes, but never really being vulnerable and really sucking the sweet nectar out of a relationship like we're supposed to, but hiding behind fear and sex. It is what this is about. Helicopter parents, shit like that, doing too fucking much, but calling it well intended, you know, in the know. There, anything can be done too much. And this is about owning that. It's about understanding you do have a fucking dark side and being okay with it. All right. We all have a dark side, but it should not have a mastery over you. You put the chains over its neck. You don't let it put chains over your neck, but you will not be able to reverse the chain situation until you become aware that you are chained. And you have many people running around here who ain't free and they think they're free. Yes, if I gave the example of myself, I thought I was free when I had that high paying job. No, it wasn't. You're not free until you know who you are, why you are, what really makes you happy. And when you can explain those things without talking about the material. There's people I ask, tell me about your growth, what makes you happy. And they rattle off all this the physical shit. Girl, bye. They got a long way to go. And I'm not amused or impressed nor attracted to that sort of rhetoric. Spirit trumps physical. Lead in with spiritual first. But we all got a dark side. Once you become aware, then you begin the role reversal. And that dark side will try to creep back up on you. That don't mean you have to let it. That don't mean you have to let it. And the less attention you pay to it, the more your dark side will fade. Because if you resist the devil, he will flee. But if you feed that bitch, he's gonna fucking grow. So like you used to cater to obsessive compulsive thoughts. When those thoughts come, you just let them sit there. I don't care how uncomfortable it feels. You just let the fucking shit sit there. Eventually, the thoughts will come less, and eventually they will fade, and you'll look around and be like, fuck, some time has passed, and I hadn't even thought about that anymore. That's one way God can heal you. But darkness is not something for us to avoid. We must embrace it. The Queen of Wands, the King of Wands, Queen of Wands is like a black cat in the traditional rider waite deck. And the King of Wands is like a black salamander on his throne. Speaks to shadow work. Seven of Cups to me speaks to shadow work. You know, and really, really digging into your fucking self and seeing what's there. The fear is about wrestling with malevolent, celestial, if we would call malevolent spiritual forces that genuinely do not want you to succeed. This is an acknowledgement. I don't really, if you want to call it the devil, bad energy, whatever. But they're not everybody is your fucking friend. Not everybody is your ally. And not every experience is meant for you to have. I don't care how appealing it is or how much, like, I don't travel to places because it's popular or it's cheap or everyone wants to go there. I wait and I pray and I see where I sense the spirit is telling me to go. Because you're assuming that you're going to go, there's going to be safe and everything's going to be well. But there are people who have terrible fucking experiences in any places that can be traveled to. So I wait and pray and see where the Lord wants me to go. And then I go. I have to have a spiritual connection to a place before I even arrive, or I'm not going to go just because it's supposed to be cool or fun, or a friend of mine lives there and will let me stay for free. Nope. I have to have depth and meaning to every fucking thing that I do. And this here is about getting into the why behind the things you do, because shadow can lurk in places and make you feel good. This devil got these people hung up here feeling fabulous, doing all the sensual things, and yet they're not living. No, they're not. Had somebody tell me that they thought they had a good life, and then I examined them in the spirit. I said, no, you don't. I actually had a dream about them. I was like, no, you don't. What you're doing is avoiding shit and with all your activities, and you don't have a good life, and you're not really happy because the spirit revealed it to me. We got to pay attention to misery sitting right up under us too. You know, people who are fucking miserable, but they don't look it. That's what that all of that comes up for me in this card. That was like my big takeaway when I was in San Francisco for the Folsom Street Fair this past weekend, and I did an insane amount of LSD, which was the point. I was in like the 2000 to 2500 micro unit range because I had a specific thing that I wanted to accomplish in the spirit. And so I did that shit. And the sorrow in my soul when I was that high on LSD was how I could sense, and I can see people's spirits and auras after I cross a certain amount of LSD, it opens my third eye tremendously and I can see right through a person. And what I felt was this how a fucking pain, a quiet, you ever, I don't know, growing up, I was beat and hit a lot and I would cry so hard that like no sound would come out. Like I was hurt past the pain of a vocalization at the hands of somebody I was supposed to be able to call dad. And Lord have mercy. So when I was on LSD, I was sensing this type of pain, like that sort of like howl in people that you can't hear. They won't say it and they look fine, but everything inside of them is falling to pieces. I want y'all to get closer to your friends and pray with them. I had a dream the other night, and it's like the Lord is wanting people to find people to be friends with that they can actually pray and do spiritual things with. And I posted this dream on all of our social media channels and YouTube. If you ain't got friends you can pray with and do spiritual things with, y'all ain't worth shit to each other. Just flat ass. Like, what the fuck are you doing besides wasting each other's times? Like, you need to be spiritual with people too, not just hanging out and having fun. And and that how it was just like this pain that I was feeling, and it just wouldn't be quiet because it cannot be quieted until people do their soul work. That is what I picked up on when I was on that insane amount of LSD was just pain, and I shed physical tears, not over my shit, but over the pain I felt from motherfucking people. And I left the club I was at, and I tried to walk down the street, and I just and this was not the pain from all the homeless drug addicts in San Francisco and the Tenderloin. This was pain from the people I felt next to me at this expensive ass party that I went to. People could afford to go and do, $100 plus, you know, tickets and shit. Well-dressed people and things like that. That's where this pain was coming from. And it was like, fuck, why? How could we have missed this? This is the sort of things that result in people like killing themselves. And you're like, oh my God, I never thought. We need to start praying with our friends and family and really getting spiritual conversations out on the table and stop letting people hide in plain sight and believing the way people present is not always the truth, bro. And numerology number 15 gives you considerable charisma, shine, and sensuality. One in five add up to six, the number of Venus, the planet of sensuality, beauty, harmony, and uplifted femininity. The 1 5/6 variant of the number six is the most feminine and mysterious of all the numbers and a potentially tricky number to master. The number contains tremendous erotic power, a sense of pleasure and sensuality. There is also a powerful occult element, Lord have mercy, to 15/6, which can put you in contact with parallel worlds, spirits, ghosts, entities, etc. I'm going to just cut this recording off after this one and just he'll give you the tower, the star, the moon, the sun, and the judgment and the world at a completely different one. Because I'm going to talk about this devil, then I'm going to get off of here. Because this, what this is saying from this numerology website here. Okay. Again, pleasure and sensuality is not a problem. The problem is when Lucifer gets his ass in it and corrupts its meaning. Compare and contrast having sex with somebody who you love or are planning to hopefully one day fall in love with, that you vet it and you see a future of some sort. I don't care if it's a primary or you poly, versus fucking because you got tired of masturbating. And so you just went on the app and found somebody. Okay. You can't even much compare the two. Compare sitting down at a buffet and eating your feelings well past the point of being full versus eating just enough with gratitude, and the moment you feel full, you stop. Compare and contrast traveling due to spiritually being called to somewhere or feeling like you need to make it to every country in the world and check off a list. I'm not saying everybody who does that is being avoided, but you bet your fucking ass that there's some people who travel as a form of avoidance because they don't ever have to slow down. The moment the plane lands, they got somewhere else to go. They never have to actually sit with themselves. And people will sit there and watch their social media feeds and see that fucking fake ass shit and help in this false validation this person is getting. I travel more than what I post because I don't give a damn what anybody says about where I go or what I do or who I am. But there was a time that I posted every goddamn thing that I did and checked in everywhere because I thought I needed that validation. And I was again hiding from myself and I didn't realize that I was. I forgot I used to do that shit. Hmm. Lucifer will take what God has created, tweak it a smidgen, and corrupt the whole fucking shit. And then when it's presented to you, you can't tell that the whole fucking shit has been corrupted because you do not have spiritual eyes yet that are open, because you have not been in isolation to get that. God's not going to give that to you until you sit down and make time for him. Flat ass. And, and this is why so many people are so easily deceived, because you do not have spiritual discernment. The devil, like what this is saying, it contains tremendous erotic power. We are all sexual beings. Sex was God's idea, not fucking everybody you can get your hands on. That was Lucifer's idea. Meaningful, deep sexual connections, God's ideas. Going on apps and just sending out body pictures and not understanding the energetic implication of that, Lucifer's idea. But an untrained and an unevolved and an immature mind will try to look at one and the same and say, it's sex. It's not rape. We're not hurting anybody. What's the big deal? I just told you what the damn big deal is, because the energies are not the same. The intentions are not the same. And like what this is saying, sensuality puts you into contact with parallel worlds of spirits, ghosts, and entities. Me and my people have tried to explain to you all how sex magic works. This is one of the reasons why. When you're in a sensual state, you're susceptible. In hypnotherapy, we call this hypersuggestibility in a way, that the mind can only focus on one thing at a time. And the moment you focus on two things, you become suggestible. That's why when you're in a movie theater, you have physical reactions, or even if you're watching a movie at home, you have physical reactions to something you know is fake. Why is your pulse racing? Because somebody's about to get killed in a horror movie, or you're hoping the hero gets brought back to life, or you want fucking Optimus Prime to kick Megatron's ass. Because in that moment, you accept this shit as reality. Once you turn the movie off, you go, okay, that's not real. There is no Optimus Prime. But in that moment, can't nobody tell you there's no Optimus Prime. When we engage in anything sensual, but especially sexual things, and you got all of this different things going on, baby, you ain't nothing but an open fucking book to entities and spirits and beings and things like that. And somebody who knows how to manipulate the leverage you gave them, because you took your clothes off and you removed your protections. You let somebody come across your threshold. You accepted whatever entities came with them. I think about how old ass vampire movies, the vampire couldn't like enter the person's house unless they had an invitation. God was trying to tell you then that when you accept people into your life and physically let them into your home, particularly, you accept whatever devil they are, even though you haven't figured that out yet. Our sexuality fuels our creativity. It's a part of who we are. There is nothing wrong with the sex and sexuality. It is powerful as fuck. And it's very beneficial when we use it right. The power that two people can create through sexual alchemy and sexual transmutation to heal themselves and the world around them, which I will teach at a later date, can't be summed up. It can't be overstated. Fuck, fuck, fuck. Like it's, but you don't get that when you're just trying to bust a nut. And what Lucifer has done is sold the world is short on bullshit when you should have been getting the best shit. And he has sold the world on sensual surface level shit rather than sensual depth. And you have both at your disposal, but if you choose the shallow way, it's not gonna go good for you. Because your soul knows that you could have better, and it knows if you got a bullshit ass person with some bullshit energy, and yet you're going through this sex and all this pleasure, whatever the fuck it might be, if it's not sex with him, and your soul is crying out. That's that echo, that soul howl that I heard when I was on LSD, and I still hear it. Your soul is in fucking agony and crying out, but you won't hear it because you won't slow down because you keep doing all these sensual things, traveling and volunteering. And mm. It's just so interesting to me that the devil card with so much sensuality would have this tie in to parallel worlds and spirits. I have surfed the astral plane. I don't know where the fuck I'd be. Would I be on the astral plane? I started astral traveling when I was in the eighth grade, that just came to me when I was dreaming one night and I became aware of it and started controlling the thing. And I was like, what is this? And, and eventually other beings on that plane started to be aware of me. And I was like, okay. Well, so there's a lot out there we don't know. What I'm trying to get you to understand is you better get close to God because God has power over these things, over whatever the fuck we do know or don't know. So it doesn't matter. We don't have to know it all when we never will. But when you go opening yourself up to sensual things, is be aware that you don't have the consciousness of mind to fight things. This is why hypersuggestibility works in hypnotherapy because you can't inject something to somebody's subconscious if they're flat ass looking at you and paying attention. You have to distract them with something, a pendulum or a tone or whatever, or count them down into deep hypnosis to access their mind. When you're doing sexual things or sensual things, whatever it is, you're focusing on so much that you're not able to see a threat walk right into you. And it's what it is. So be very careful about who you engage in sensual things with. And I don't give a shit if it's watching a movie with friends. Like you need to be questioning your friends about who the fuck they are when they're not with you. I'm not saying walk around worried. I'm saying from this point on, have a higher fucking standard for who you accept as a lover, friend, and fucking be questioning people, family, all of that, and cut a bitch off if you need to. It's not worth having all this fucking pain and trouble. That a lot of this comes through people. The devil really sends destruction into your life through people. You see, every drug I tried it for the first time at the hands of some dude I had done fallen, thought I would had this huge crush on. I was just gonna love forever. The abuse, the pain, all of that came to me through some fucking body else. That I went and took the shit on like it was my own. And then it's taken me all these years and decades to realize that it wasn't fucking me, but that was the shit they put into me that I was living out as though it was my own. And now I'm just getting to the point that I really like, you know what? I'm actually living fully for myself and my own authenticity. And I am no longer living anybody else's fucking projection or their role that they wanted me to play or whatever, inadvertently or inadvertently. whatever it was, it took a lot of time and a lot of work. What I'm trying to get you to understand, there's a lot of people who think they're free, then they're happy, and they're not free and happy. Is that you? Are you really free? And I mean really fucking free. And really fucking happy down to the damn marrow of your bone. Like even your hair follicles dance because you so fucking happy. That's how you supposed to be. You must come into oneness within your spirit and your mind to be able to pay attention to what's out of balance before you can fix anything. Slow down. Pay attention to the devil energies around you and do not negotiate with them. Get rid of it. The people won't go around you change. You change the people because you can't change nobody else but you. And it's hard enough for us to do that. Don't settle for fear. Do not and understand that you are worthy of true love. Some people are hoes that in that avoidant ass, low vibrational polyamory, not to be intentionally destructive, but because they don't think they deserve any better. You must question where the fuck you got that idea from, because you could just the same think you deserve better. Why is it so easy for us to settle for a glass half full of a lower variety of things? To say, then the Lord rebuke you. You know, we got to rebuke this sort of power here. The devil has power, but he don't have all power. And that's what he's trying to get you to not realize, that power belongs to God. But you got to get your spirituality sorted out before you can have power over the devil. You can't be vague with it or going to get to it one day. You got to prioritize your spirituality or you will never master yourself. And if you don't master yourself, then you won't be able to master the world around you either. I will pick this back up with a Tower card. But fuck. This is life path number 9. This is ruled by Capricorn, which is my moon sign. Also Saturn. Capricorn is a cardinal sign, which begins in when the winter begins. The element of the devil card is Earth. Until next time.
Thank you all so much for joining us today and for taking some time to invest into yourself and into the lives of your loved ones. Please visit us at sexdrugsandjesus.com and check out our resource page, our spiritual service offerings, my blog, my books, and other writings that God has partnered with me to create. Find us on any social media platform. Stay strong, my people, and just remember that everything is going to be all right.